So you really believe that TD Jakes participated in
Oh,
those
TD Jakes.
activities?
I got people in Dallas and Houston and Fort Worth area. TD Jakes is a known homosexual. He's known. And where he's from, in the whole Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, in the Texas area, it is a well-known fact that T.D. Jakes is a homosexual. He with male prostitutes. His wife knows that he's, but of course she's the first lady. She's a multi-millionaire. What's she gonna say? She don't give as long as she can buy her little bag to put her church in and go to church with a hat on. T.D. Jakes is a boy. Yeah, a boy.
Yep, you heard him correctly.
Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Diddy Got a Podcast, and of course I'm your host Diddy, back up in this bitch with another video. Listen, for the last, I would say 4 to 6 months, we've been doing a lot of connecting the dots. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. We're going to call it connecting the dots, because when you talk about certain things like we've covered on this channel, what you're going to typically have in the comment section is people saying things like, why do we care? Why is this a topic? Why is it important who people and what people do in their bedroom? If it don't involve children, who cares if they're all consenting adults? Again, we connect dots on this channel. If you watch my videos and that's what you come away with, and you think we're simply gossiping about somebody's sexuality, you got some soul searching to do, because we're a lot deeper on this channel. The Diddy trial. A lot of things have come out. A lot of celebrities have been named since the Diddy trial has taken place, including people like Barack Obama and Usher, Kid Cudi, and Lil Wayne. But there's been a lot of other names that a lot of people have been waiting to hear about that we haven't heard. You know, one of those names being Justin Bieber. People are waiting to hear to see if Justin Bieber's name is going to be brought up, and it hasn't been. Another name, maybe not as many people have been waiting to hear, is Meek Mill, believe it or not. Because if you all remember, Rodney, the producer who worked on, I believe, Diddy's latest album, it's the album Love. And remember, he sued P. Diddy last year, and in his lawsuit, he alleged that the name was redacted, but he said a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj had, quote unquote, sexual relations or fornication type dealings with P. Diddy. And it's not that hard to figure out who that person could be. And of course, it took him long enough, but Meek Mill, of course, gave the fans and a lot of people trolling him in the comment section a lot of pushback. But when you look at Meek Mill's history with P. Diddy, from wearing matching outfits and P. Diddy calling him daddy while he's sitting there floating in the pool, and
man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you.
Him being super close and calling P. Diddy his mentor, and the landlord of one, I think the hotels or something like that, said that, or one of the Airbnbs, some resort where Meek Mill, P. Diddy, and other people were present. This landlord claimed that after they left, there was blood, bowel movement, or bowel, if you follow what I'm saying, lube, and all other types of stuff on the walls and the floor, and to the point where he had to charge them extra. A landlord said this.
Meek Mill clowning now. Meek Mill hollering no Diddy gang now.
Yeah, but he can't really say that when the landlord came out and said that after you left Meek Mill's, it was blood and dookie all over the sheets and stuff after Diddy ran through you.
He said blood and dookie?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, Meek, dookie.
So it hasn't looked good for Meek Mill, but as far as I can tell, Meek Mill's name has not been listed as of yet. Well, another person that some of us have been waiting to see if he was going to be named or not is TD Jakes. Because remember, TD Jakes is the pastor that Diddy has notoriously been close to, and this was supposed to be during the time when Diddy was supposed to be about love and always talking about God, but not really specifying what God he was talking about, even though it's come out in this trial that allegedly during all this time that he was with TD Jakes, this is allegedly all the time that P. Diddy was assaulting and doing all these horrific, evil things, right? So if you're hanging out with a pastor and your behavior is not only not getting better, but in some cases you could even argue it's getting worse and freakier, then what was the purpose of you hanging out with this pastor? And I think we may have just gotten our answer. A lot of people have speculated, but I think we've really gotten our answer. Because for those of you who don't know, right, like 2 days or something like that, right before the P. Diddy trial started, TD Jakes actually stepped down and announced that he would, by the end of the year, would no longer be the full-time pastor of his church, and instead I believe he's going to let his daughter run the church. Well, it's gotten even worse for him now, because as suspicious as that timing was, there's a guy by the name of Dogface Calderon. A lot of you all won't know who this is, but he's a musician, an author, a producer, a DJ, based out of the Detroit area. And he's worked with the likes, he's DJ for the likes of people like Yo Gotti and NBA Youngboy and DaBaby and several other celebrities. And the point of me mentioning that is to say he runs in these circles, right? He knows these people. He's worked with these people. He's a part of the industry. Well, he gave an interview on this YouTube called, I believe, The Forum Magazine, where he had some very, very interesting things to say, not only about TD Jakes and what people have known about TD Jakes locally, where he's from for years, but he also wanted to explain, in a way I think personally, and one of the best ways I've ever heard it explained, why it's not just people like TD Jakes and P. Diddy who do the things that they do, but everyday people that we may see in our neighborhoods, like the dope boys and people who get money and got notoriety, why it is always the case that you hear about these people doing and participating in these almost sexual deviant behaviors. He explains why they do it. Take a listen.
So you really believe that TD Jakes participated in those
TD Jakes.
activities?
I got people in Dallas and Houston and Fort Worth area. TD Jakes is a known homosexual. He's known. And where he's from, in the whole Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, in the Texas area, it is a well-known fact that TD Jakes is a homosexual. He with male prostitutes. His wife knows that he's, but of course she's the first lady. She's a multi-millionaire. What's she gonna say? She don't give a fuck. As long as she can buy her little bag to put her church in and go to church with a hat on. TD Jakes is a boy. He a boy. You hear me?
Wow, man, that's wild. So with the Diddy trial, is it anything shocking to you? You know, anything that stood out that you was like, what the hell?
No, because we've been hearing these stories about Diddy for years. This is nothing new. The story about having trans in Biggie Smalls videos, that story been out. We've been hearing about that. You know what I'm saying? 15, 20 years ago, we knew that it was a trans in the videos. How did they get there? You ain't, right? Who picked them? You know, so who did the casting, right? And you mean to tell me Biggie Smalls being as big as he is or was, you mean to tell me they're not properly vetting? That's like right now, you do a video with pick A-list and nobody, a trans slip up in there who's a known trans too. That wasn't just no one-off. Who put them in there for they 15 minutes of fame? No, I'm not shocked about anything that I'm hearing, because black people are becoming more and more like what we used to accuse white people of being. It used to be a point in time when I was coming up, like black women black women always been sucking some, right? But it wasn't just like, they wasn't proud to wear it on their chest. So when you look at the Glorillas and the Sexy Reds and y'all been doing that. But let me tell you something, right? With money comes access, right? The more money you have, like guys who've been getting money and chicks who were trying to get those guys' attention, they've been more than willing to do all the Sexy Red Glorilla type shit. They've been more than willing to when you heard about guys like doing menages and freaking 2, 3 females at one time, that wasn't the broke nigga in the hood. It's always been the niggas who was getting money. The more money you have equals how much influence you have, and that equals what a motherfucker willing to do to stay in your company. So that's, if you a money getting motherfucker, you're not shocked by no both asses eating and all that kind of shit. That come with getting money. Now, all the other shit he got going on, he took that shit way to a whole nother level. But when you hear about it, shocked? No, because they've been saying this about him. We just didn't have hardcore evidence or material evidence to support. We didn't have the stories, open-ended stories that kind of like articulated how it went and what was going on. But you can't be shocked about that. And in the world of entertainment, that's where you find all the freaking and geeking at. That's where you find it at. We're just surprised because we didn't know the hip-hop. We thought hip-hop was on some...
That's crazy. That's crazy. And there's a difference between just gossiping or throwing dirt on a person's name or saying stuff that you're not sure about. When you listen to this person, you tell me if you believe them. When you listen to this person, you tell me if this is just a person who's just gossiping. And the last thing I want to say is Dr. Umar Johnson also had a thing or two to say about TD Jakes as well.
The most shocking part for me was the TD Jakes, Dr. Johnson. All of a sudden, he just stepped down and gave the raise to his daughter.
Puffy trial about to start. You would
I know.
down too.
That's what I was telling people.
I don't think it's a coincidence.
I don't either.
TD Jakes has announced that he will be resigning
That's right.
from Potter's house at the end of this year, like 2 weeks before Puffy's trial begins. It's because he fears that something is going to come out about him.
That's right.
Okay, that's going to force his resignation anyway, because as a pastor of the Lord, here we go going back to sinners. Here we go going back to sinners. As a pastor of the Lord, you had no business at any party, to be honest with you.
That's
I don't
right.
know what party would be acceptable to a pastor.
That's right.
What party? Except a child's a birthday party, I can see that. You know, a cookout, I can see that. But if it's any type of party with smoking and liquor and sex, no pastor belongs in that setting.
Not at all. Nowhere near there.
Got caught up. Yes, indeed.
Do I think that TD Jakes is going to be named in the Diddy trial? I think it could potentially come up. I think there's a strong chance it's going to happen. Why else would you step down right before the trial starts? Why else are you in these pictures that are very suggestible? Like, as a pastor, I just feel like, nah, you don't have to be a perfect person, a squeaky clean record, but you shouldn't give people reason to believe things like this about you, bro. That's all I'm saying. And it's just not looking good for TD Jakes, because if this is the rumor about you and information just keeps coming out, it just makes people like me believe, what else have you done or participated in that we don't know about that could be illegal? That's what I'm talking about. Things that could get you charged or implicated in much more serious matters. Y'all up in the comment section, give me y'all thoughts. This actually reminded me of some of the stuff I found out about Martin Luther King, believe it or not. And that's something, I got that video in the works. It's coming. I promise y'all it's coming. Hit the like button. Thank you all so much for being here. Until next time. Peace.
Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.